Well, Professor Yunus, it's a great pleasure to have you here with us.
Well, it's a pleasure for me.
Okay, and I hope you enjoyed your stay in Buenos Aires.
Yes, I'm enjoying it very much.
You've done something very incredible, no? And I believe you are solving a problem that's worldwide and that so little people have paid the necessary attention. So how did you start it? Tell us a little bit. How was the beginning? What was the main idea?
Actually, it began because of lots of frustrations. If you live in a country like Bangladesh, you very quickly accumulate those frustrations, piles and piles of frustration. Nothing works, nothing goes right. And we were quite a young country in the sense that we became separated from Pakistan through a civil war. And we became an independent country at the end of 1971 after a terrible war that we had to suffer through. Lots of people were killed in Bangladesh in the war and everything was destroyed. And I was teaching during this period in the United States, in one of the universities in the United States, and struggling to convince the government of the United States to support the cause of Bangladesh, an independent Bangladesh. So we worked very hard to make this happen, the independence come to Bangladesh. And at the end of 71, when we became independent, I thought I should go back to Bangladesh and join hands with others to rebuild the nation so that we can overcome all our economic difficulties which are in Bangladesh. Bangladesh, territory-wise, is a very small country, 140,000 square kilometers. But a tremendous population. At that time there was 75 million people in end of 71. Today we have 130 million people, so the population is also increasing. So I went back in that devastated country and started teaching in one of the universities in Bangladesh. So we hope now things would be better, everything will be resolved and so on. But that didn't happen. All our euphoria about the independence turned into nightmares. Things were becoming very, very difficult as days went by. To the extent we ended up with a famine in the country and people were dying because of hunger. And I found myself in a very peculiar situation. Here I teach elegant theories of economics that I learned from the United States to my students, telling them all economic problems have beautiful solutions. All you need to do is to follow those solutions and everything will be fine. While I'm talking about these things in the classroom, as you come out of the classroom, you see people dying outside it. So you wonder, what good is your theory? What good is all those brilliant theories that promises everything will work out, but it doesn't work out right in front of you. So gradually I lost all faith in what I teach, and I feel very empty that I have not learned anything which really helps people who are about to die. So I thought these are all make-believe stories that I have learned all my life as a student, and these have no relevance whatsoever in the life in practice. So I thought I should learn life differently, learn about life differently. And I decided to go around and meet people in the villages next door to the university campus and see if there's anything that I can do as a human being, because I have nothing else to offer them, because all my knowledge has no relevance to them. So I did a lot of small things in individual's life in the village next door, see if that can be of some help, even a help for a day, not something very permanent, because I don't know what to do. And one thing I kept saying very repeatedly every time it's occurring, that people needed a small amount of money, but that money was not available in a kind of fair way. Only way it was available by borrowing from the moneylender. And moneylender always imposed conditions in such a way, all the benefits are extracted away from you. You are just left with nothing.
You have a very interesting story about a woman, you know?
Yeah, that triggered the whole thing. And as I was going around, I met one woman in that village who was making beautiful bamboo stool. So I sat down with her to talk to understand how her life is all about. She's an extremely poor person. And I couldn't figure out why she is so poor, because she is making such a beautiful stool. And I thought that should bring good money for her. But if you look at her house, there's nothing. Even the house doesn't have a roof. So I sat down with her talking what went wrong with her. She told me that she makes only 2 penny a day by making all this, by selling the product she makes. I couldn't figure out why she sells at such a low price. She explained to me she didn't have the money to buy the bamboo which goes into that bamboo stool. So she had to borrow from a trader money to buy the bamboo. And the trader gave her the condition that she has to sell the product to him at the price that he decides.
Incredible.
And I said, my God, it looks like business, but actually she turned herself into a slave labor. She is actually working for him. All the money goes to him. And I thought maybe bamboo costs a lot of money, so that's why she didn't have the money. I said, how much does a bamboo cost? She told me it cost only 25 cents. I said, you didn't have that money to buy a bamboo? She said, no, I don't have that money to buy the bamboo. So I was so shocked. I was not ready for that. And I couldn't figure out what I should do. Should I give her the money? Should I lend her the money? I didn't do anything. I thought, let me think over it before I make any decision. So I thought over it, and I thought maybe I should find out more about this. Is there any other people in the village who go through the same process of exploitation? And I went around with a student of mine in the village for several days and came up with a list of such people who needed very small amount of money. And the total amount, 42 people that I had on my list, the total amount needed by all of them amounted to only $27.
How incredible.
I just couldn't believe that it is in a real world, because it looked like some fantasy. Because here I teach in the classroom about our national development plans, 5-year plans, which needs millions of dollars and billions of dollars of investment, and how all these investments are being made so that the life of the people are changed. And I said, while we talk about billions of dollars in our documents, in our classrooms, in our offices, here people need only $27 for 42 people. That money is not available.
Great contradiction.
So I thought about it, what do I do? And I said, look, let me give this $27 from my pocket. And I did. I gave them the money. I said, this is a loan, you can pay me back whenever you're ready to, but there is no pressure. You take your time, but you sell your product wherever you get good price in the open market. You don't have to sell it to a particular person at his wishes. And what surprised me, the amount of excitement and happiness it created in all those people. And it made me wonder, if you can bring so much happiness and so much excitement in so many people with such a small amount of money, how can't you not do more about it? Give some more money to more people and continue with it. Then it grabbed me, that thought that I should give more money to more people. And I thought about it. Should I give it from my pocket, or should I do it in a way that they can take this money anytime they want? Then I thought about a bank, but the bank which is located in the campus. So I went to the bank manager, proposed to him that he lend money to the people in the village, the kind of people that I met, and I gave money. He fell from the sky. He just couldn't believe that when I proposed to him, he thought I was joking. And I explained to him, no, I'm very serious. He said, well, you know, bank cannot lend money to the poor people. I said, I don't know. Why don't you lend money to the poor people?
Why not?
Why not? He said, well, because poor people are not creditworthy. I said, how do you know they are not creditworthy? He said, well, everybody knows they are not creditworthy. How come you don't know? I said, sorry, I don't know. You explain to me. He said, because they cannot provide collateral. I said, why do you need collateral? So he was very frustrated because I'm asking all these questions. He said, sorry, banks' rules do not permit giving loans to poor people, because if you give them the money, their stomach is empty. They will use this money to buy food and finish it up. They will never be able to pay back. I said, have you ever tried that? He said, no, I have not tried that. Then how do you know all these things will happen? I said, well, that's the way we are told, that they will not pay back. I said, but I want to try. Why don't you give me money so that people can borrow money from you and then carry on and find out. I said, no, I can't do that. So he advised me to see his senior officials in the banking hierarchy. I did that for several days. Everybody told me the same thing. Finally, after several days of running around, I found a way by offering myself as a guarantor. I said, I'll sign all your papers and you give the money to the people that I recognize. And it took me another 6 months of writing those proposals to the head office of the bank, which is located in the capital city of the country. So every time I write some answers, they will ask me several more questions, I'll write more answers. And in the end of 6 months, they approved this proposal to take me as a guarantor. But they put a limit to the guarantee that I can put up with. That will be maximum of $300.
After 6 months?
After 6 months of work. So I said, okay, after all, they have agreed to some money, let me try it out, whether it works in the village that I want to work. So that was the beginning. This is 1976. So I started giving money to the village. And the bank manager told me, this is the last time you're seeing your money because this money is not going to come back. I said, I'll take a chance. And the surprising thing for me was, and a very pleasant surprise, every penny came back. I had no problem in getting the money back. And that made me very happy. And I went back to the manager. I said, look, every penny came back. You said it won't come back.
And what did he say?
And he said, well, you gave such a small amount of money. They didn't think it's worthwhile to keep that money. They are waiting for more money. If you give them more money, they will never pay back. So I thought maybe I should try that. I'll give them more money. So I gave them more money. They paid me back. Now this time the bank manager said, you are doing it in one village, that's why it's working. If you do it in 2 villages, it won't work. I said, okay, let me do it in 2 villages. So I did it in 2 villages. Again, it's the same result. People paid me back. The bank manager said, maybe you should do in 5 villages. 1 village and 2 villages, about the same. Yeah. So I did it in 5 villages. Again, it worked. So he kept on raising the number of villages to 10, to 20, to 50, to 100. And I would go around and do it over 20 and 50 and 100 villages. Every time it works beautifully, without any problem. But the bank manager doesn't change his mind. Then I realized that why am I trying to change his mind? This man is never going to change his mind. Why don't I just create another bank? I find out that it works. Now, if anybody tells me that poor are not creditworthy, I can just scream, I can just shout that this is a lie, this is not true. And I can tell the whole world that this is absolutely groundless fact. So I thought about creating a bank. I went to the government to seek permission from the government to give me the permission to set up a bank. Government thought it's a crazy idea. How can you create a bank for the poor people? And they explained to me that we are having enough of problem with rich people. They don't pay back their loans. Now you want to create more problem for us? I said, no, poor people pay back. Maybe your experience with rich people is not good, but my experience with poor people is extremely good. But they were not convinced. It took me 2 years of continuous knocking at their doors, talking to them,
2
lobbying
years.
it. 2 years. And finally in 1983, I got the permission to set up a bank. So we became a bank. We started now doing it our own way. We laid down our procedures and we kept on expanding. Today, after 22 years of our work, since we began in 1976, we have 2.4 million borrowers all over Bangladesh, and 94% of our borrowers are women.
That's very interesting.
Yes, extremely poor women when they join, but gradually they earn money and start changing their lives.
And why do you choose women?
When I began, I was making 2 allegations against the banking system in Bangladesh. Later on, I found out it's not allegations against banking system in Bangladesh only, because this is the same everywhere, all over the world. My allegations were, number 1, banking system has been designed to be anti-poor, to reject poor people. So they created a wall called collateral or security, so that poor people cannot get in, and the other people who have a lot of money can get more money for themselves. And the second allegation I was making, not only it rejects poor, it also rejects women. It's biased against women. Its rules and procedures are made in such a way the women doesn't get a loan from them. So when I began, I wanted to make sure half the borrowers of Grameen Bank are women. So I got very enthusiastic about bringing women as borrowers. But the women themselves didn't want to join Grameen Bank because they're very scared. They said, no, don't give money to me.
They have fear.
They fear, a lot of fear, because they felt that they have no experience, they don't know what kind of trouble it will create for them. Because they kept saying, why don't you give our husbands the money? They are the ones who know how to handle money. We said, no, we're not talking about your husband, we're talking about you. So the more we tried to persuade them, the more they ran away from us. So, but we didn't give up, we continued to pursue, continued to explain. Many women pleaded with us, said, I'm afraid to touch money because I never touched money in my life. It's a very scary thing. If something goes wrong, I'll be totally ruined and my family will be ruined. And I don't want to do that. I'm already suffering a lot. I don't want to increase my suffering. I can take this much, but I cannot take any more. We kept explaining that this is not such a scary thing. You think about it. You can find a way to use those money so that you have extra income for yourself. You have more income. You live better. So gradually it worked. Some desperate woman first decided, why don't I try? Because my life cannot get worse than what I am. Why don't I try? Usually these are women who are abandoned by men. It's very easy among men to divorce their wife, just simply abandon them, go some places, marry again. And each time they marry, they get some extra money as a dowry. So that's very attractive for them. In the meantime, the wife is gone. And when a woman is abandoned, a wife is abandoned, the children remains with the wife. Father doesn't want to take the children. Mother never abandons the children.
No,
so she
never.
collects all the children and go to her parents' house, who is a very poor person. He is not very happy to see his daughter coming back with all the children, all the extra mouth to feed. So she is not welcome at her parents' house. She is rejected by her husband. She has no place to go. And she is such a desperate woman. She said, well, nothing can go wrong with me any longer than what we have already suffered. Let me try this. So those desperate women were the first one to join the main
How
band.
interesting.
And demonstrate that how she can now control her life in a way that it improves her life. And others feel encouraged to it. So more and more women start joining us.
So you are also building self-confidence in the
Tremendous
woman.
amount of self-confidence, more than the money.
So interesting.
More than the
More
money.
than the money.
More than the money. Because money, ultimately you find, is an excuse to get
It's an
started
excuse.
with that process of confidence building. It's not merely alone confidence, it's a dignity.
A dignity.
Dignity for herself, because she never thought she's worth something. Because all her life she's told, you're no good, you're worth nothing. And wherever, even in her own house, because she's a daughter, she's a girl child, she is told from her childhood that you brought misery for the family.
Because she's a woman.
Because she is a woman, because the family has to spend a lot of money in her marriage. And the family gets very scared when the daughter is born in the family. So she feels that she has done something wrong to the family, something wrong to everybody else. So she lives in a way as if she doesn't exist. She doesn't want to create trouble for anybody. So now, with this excitement that she can take care of herself, for the first time she realized she has something inside of her that she never realized
That's
she
fantastic.
had. Yes. So the self-confidence and self-worth and the dignity and self-esteem that comes into it, now she looks at the world as if she can conquer the whole world. She doesn't have to depend on anybody, because she was at everybody's mercy, everybody's kindness. Now she doesn't have to depend on anybody. So more and more women join into such enterprises. So today we have 2.4 million borrowers, 94% women.
That's incredible.
It took us 6 years to come to the level that 50% of our borrowers are women, because all the process we have to go through. But once we were there, reaching 50%, we saw that money that went to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family than the money that we gave to the families through men. Women were very cautious with their money. They wanted to get the maximum benefit out of the money, maximum mileage out of that money. And whatever benefit the woman got out of that money, it immediately went to the children. So children became the beneficiaries. Children are now well fed in the family because mother has the income. They get warm clothes in winter because she has the money. If you look at the men didn't pay much attention to other family members. He paid more attention to himself than the other family members. Women paid more attention to the improvement of the household. The house which has a leaky roof, she is the first one to fix that roof because she is the one who lives there 24 hours a day. Men disappear early in the morning and come home late at night, so he doesn't feel the problem of living in that house all the time. And women work inside the house for the money she receives. For her, the house is a factory. That's where her workplace. So she wants to make that workplace in a way it's convenient for her to work so that she can earn more money. For men, is outside. So he doesn't pay much attention to that. And another thing we saw particularly interesting, women always cared for future. She wanted to, yes, she wants to build up a security for her because she has gone through such an insecure life. Given an opportunity, she wants to build up a security for her in future. So she has a long-range plan, what she wants to do now, what she wants to do tomorrow, what she will do next. And
she planifies.
She planifies the whole thing. Man is very impatient. He wants to enjoy right now. He doesn't care what happened tomorrow. He knows something will happen tomorrow. He can take care of it. So all these things distinguished the families who are reached by women and who are reached by men. So we changed our mind. Now we wanted to prioritize women. We said we will give the first priority to women. Only after reached all the women, then we'll talk about giving money to men. So that policy, with that policy today we are 94% borrowers are women. And also another thing is interesting, we make this bank to be owned by the borrowers. It's not owned by me or anybody or any rich man or anybody else. We said this is the bank which will be owned by the poor people and it worked for the poor people. So that it's always dedicated to this particular purpose. And that's what we did. And along the way, not only we gave income generating loan to start income, like buy a cow and sell the milk, and gradually our loans are paid back in weekly installments. Every week you put a little piece out of the loan into the bank. That's and fantastic. Your loans gradually get paid back. So this first woman, when the woman who takes the loan for the first time, she's so worried, can she really pay back the loan? We're still very nervous about it. When she makes her first installment,
she feels better.
Much better. She's thrilled that she has done it because she is all the people telling her that she cannot do it, she will be in trouble. Now she didn't get into trouble, she paid that money. And then she worries about the next installment. Can she do the next? And when she next week puts the next installment, she gets very excited. She did it, she had no problem. And it thrills her to cross one after another. By the time she clears 10 installments, she said, oh, only a few more to go, you see. By the time she comes to the last installment, which is the 50th installment or 50th week, she feels like a wonderful person that she has finally made it happen, excitement that comes over. And she looks at the world as if she can now conquer the whole world. She can do that. And she wants a bigger amount of money. Last time she took $20, now she wants $30 or $40 because she says she can do much more than what she did before.
She has gone through the test and she has approved it.
Exactly, and she has now she has a confidence, she can handle the money, she's not worried about it anymore. So she goes to a higher investment and higher loans and so on. In 1984, we introduced housing loan because we saw the housing condition of the poor. But when we did that, everybody said you are doing something very wrong because you'll never get back the money for the housing loan. Because income generating loan, we understand somebody is making money, so as she earns, she pays you back. But the housing loan, for a cow, it gives milk.
But the house doesn't give anything.
House doesn't give anything. Why are you giving money to the housing for housing? They will be in trouble. You are creating trouble for them. I said, no, I see it completely differently. The house to the poor person is a big investment because most of our borrowers are women. This is her factory. This is where she works. If the rain, Bangladesh is a monsoon country. 4 months a year is nothing but pouring rain. And inside that house is nothing but mud. because leaky roof could not stop that rainwater coming. So you expect this woman to work inside that house and live in health and to keep the children healthy inside that room. So I think if she can have a solid roof on top of her head, she can have a dry floor all year round.
Be better.
She will be much better. She will earn more by that way, because she will not be wasting time fixing roofs and cleaning the house and so on. So I went ahead and introduced that loan. And today, after all these years, we have given more than 500,000 housing loans.
That's incredible.
And a housing loan, a typical housing loan in Grameen Bank is only $300. When they build this house with $300, when for the first time they enter this new house, I have not seen one single person walking into that house without tears rolling down their eyes, because she couldn't believe that she will ever could even think of living in a house like this, because to her it's like a palace, because it's a tin roof house, there's a sanitary latrine and a drinking water pump, so that she don't have to worry about the drinking water and so on. So it completely changes her self-worth, self-dignity, to living like a human being, because they see this other kind of living is like living like an animal.
Yes.
Now she's
living in a better place,
in a much better place,
conditions.
Better condition. So she then wants to work harder, so that now she can improve her life in a much better way. Looking at the Grameen Bank, many researchers come study, because they don't believe that it's really possible. It looks like a fairy tale, it looks like a story. Everything we say, how can women change their life? They don't know anything. You have to train them, you have to teach them. Only them, they will know how to use the money. They have no business experience. They have to be taught how to run businesses. You don't do anything, and you say they change their life. So they come and study us. After they go through the whole research, and they become great admirers of Grameen, seeing at what it does to people. And they have been reporting us that what all the good things that happened to Grameen borrowers because of the small loans people got. Their income situation has steadily increased. Their housing is improved because of the housing loans, and also their own income put into improvement of the housing. The nutrition level of their children has overgone tremendous changes. And then adoption of family planning practices. They tell us that it's twice as high among the Grameen borrowers than among the non-Grameen people in the villages. So you look at in every direction, you see a very positive change.
Very positive.
And all this is happening not because some government or somebody is dishing out money to people. They are just taking loan, paying it back with full interest, and still changing their life. What else can you expect from people?
It's fantastic.
I mean, governments have been pouring in billions of dollars worth of money in the name of improving the quality of life for the people, but it never got changed.
They never got.
Here we have an opportunity where you're doing business, you're lending money, and people are paying you back. You cover your costs, and in the process, not only they pay you back and own the bank,
they better the style
absolutely
of life,
the human quality of life
changes
changes completely.